Mr. Schilling. Thank you, Chairman and Ranking Member. And thank you, Ambassador, for being here today. We appreciate your time. My home state of Illinois ranks second in the country for ag exports to nations, and China is a major market, of course, as you're well aware, to U.S. ag products. But international trade commissions stated China's tariff and non-tariff barriers inhibited between 1.3 billion and 2.1 billion in annual sales. What is the USTR doing with regard to the issue with China?
We're very much focused on ensuring that China lives up to the obligations that it has taken on when it joined the WTO 10 years ago. And so with respect especially to the SPS restrictions, we really want to make sure that they're science-based and consistent with valid risk assessment. We've been very active in using international remedies through the WTO when we feel that China is not living up to its obligations. I'm thinking, for example, of broiler parts. We filed an action against China that is proceeding because of the way they were treating our poultry. Because we're so competitive in ag exports, and I mentioned how we've had a banner year, and we want to have another one this year, thanks in part to Illinois, we're also very focused on Russia. And we negotiated with Russia for many, many years, finally wrapped those up last fall successfully so that we could provide greater access to the Russian market for pork, for poultry, for beef, for a number of U.S. products where we are highly competitive and we want to see more access.
Very good. Thank you for that. We often hear about the negative implications of free trade agreements. Do you think the United States economy and small business exporters are better off with them in place or worse?
With trade agreements?
Yes, ma'am.
I think they benefit clearly small business because they simply don't have the tools and the resources that larger companies have to try and figure out, what is the trade regime of another country. And unfortunately, the trade agreements can't be one page. They are sometimes many, many, many pages. But the reason we do that is to try to provide clarity on what the rules of the road are. And that benefits our small business. So I'm very supportive of the efforts I mentioned in TPP, trying to involve more small businesses in this effort, and doing it with transparency. As I mentioned earlier, I indicated that it wasn't so much that we canceled an event, rather we reallocated the time, and we had an intensive round of consultations with all of our stakeholders. We simply broke it up, as I understand it, differently than we did in other rounds. But transparency, so small businesses understand what we're negotiating, and when we're done, explaining to them clearly how they can benefit is a critical part of our work and our agenda.
Very good. So that leads me to the next question. That's a good lead-in. Considering only 1% of small businesses in the United States export, what do we need to do to get them to participate a little bit more, I guess?
I think part of it is continuing to speak forcefully, and I commend the chairman and all of the members of this committee for speaking across the country about the importance of trade and why what we're doing is so critical to help small business thrive and help our economy succeed as a whole. So a large part of this is outreach and making clear what the tools are that we are negotiating TPP, that we have negotiated in APEC, which is a broader group. The Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Forum is a broader group than TPP. What we're doing with the European Union, one of our closest trading partners. We like they are very committed to making our SMEs a higher priority. They think we're doing something right. We think they're doing something right. So it's a wonderful opportunity for a sharing of best practices. I mentioned in the Western Hemisphere, this effort to connect our SBDCs with those hopefully to the north in Canada and also down through Mexico and Central America and into South America, particularly in Colombia, our newest trade partner. So as you look around the world, we're very committed to making things as easy as we can so that our small business can thrive. And I would add also for giving them the confidence to try another customer in an existing market or try a new market. So again, I think it's a collaborative effort. working with all of you to try to figure out where the gaps still are and what we can do together as partners to try to fill them, because we have the same interest here, which is letting our small business thrive and export more.
Very good. Thank you, ma'am. With that, I yield back.